Silent Hill is one of Konami's best properties and one of the most important video game series ever conceived. It solidified the genre of psychological horror in gaming since 1999 and really experimented with stories and creative direction in future installments. Ultimately, this started a phenomenon where developers unashamedly tried recreating Silent Hill's original twisted formula. The Silent Hill series as a whole has some solid entries that are just unbeatable, but it also lost its footing along the way, with some cancelled projects and some less than stellar entries. Luckily, these developers made games with direct inspiration from Silent Hill that ended up being more Silent Hill than even Silent Hill. Cry of Fear has one of the strangest stories of how it evolved into a Silent Hill-inspired title. It started innocently enough as a mod for Valve's Half-Life by Team Psych Scholar. However, somewhere along the line it became something else entirely, influenced by the horrorscapes, atmospheres, and monsters of Silent Hill to instead become its own free multiplayer co-op FPS horror game. Silent Hill doesn't often utilize a first-person perspective. Silent Hill 4, PT, and even 2024's The Short Message are the main entries that go that route, but there is a mechanic that Cry of Fear has in common, and that's the rusting effect, altering the game world brought on by the nightmare sequences, which manifest from the protagonist. Dementium the Ward is like the first-person Nintendo DS installment of Silent Hill that never came to be. It's now available on Nintendo Switch as of 2023. Back in 2015, former Renegade Kid developer wrote on Twitter that Dementium the Ward was originally pitched as something that could have become a Silent Hill DS game. Upon first glance at the gameplay, you can totally see where the influences reflect. The enemies are ghoulish and feel like they're part of the same universe, with some incredibly brutal and strange designs that put sharp teeth in place of stomachs and faces. The hospital settings and vital signs UI for the health bar are other classic survival horror elements too. Detention is praised by many as the Taiwanese point-and-click answer to Silent Hill, and it even similarly received a live-action movie adaptation in 2019 that was just as favorable among audiences. Red Candle Games developer even admitted in an interview with New Bloom magazine that the team looked at a number of famous horror games such as Silent Hill for Detention's game design and narrative. As the name suggests, it's set in a school that looks like it's undergone an eerie transformation containing tons of puzzles and a disturbing atmosphere that's prevalent as it is unrelenting. Lone Survivor is a 2012 pixel art horror indie gem made by lone developer Jasper Byrne, who's also a musical artist and the composer of Hotline Miami. What's particularly special about this game is Byrne being outspoken about his motivations for developing it. It all stems from the survival horror masterpiece Silent Hill 2, and it started with his retro NES demake of Silent Hill 2, cleverly titled Soundless Mountain 2, and Lone Survivor was the next step in his vision. The creative inspiration was not only rooted in Silent Hill 2's world design and narrative elements, but also in expanding how Silent Hill 2 does endings. Byrne was fascinated by how the endings are determined by these secret things that you don't really know, such as the Leave, Rebirth, Maria, the dog ending, and the in-water endings, all stemming from choices you made in the game and things you had to go out of your way to do. Unlike the other games here that are more inspired by the direction of the classic Silent Hill games, Visage is a direct response to Silent Hill's PT. This is of course the infamously cancelled first-person psychological horror design Silent Hill entry from Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro. In a 2017 interview with IGN, Visage's developer Sad Square proudly proclaimed Silent Hill's playable teaser was the first thing that inspired us. And it's clear from the setting, jump scares, and level design. They even included an area representing the alternate dimension of what's supposedly hell, as a nod to the otherworld from Silent Hill. The Dark Pictures is a horror video game anthology created by Supermassive, the developer of interactive horror titles like Until Dawn and The Quarry. The Dark Pictures installment Little Hope is the most inspired by Silent Hill. In fact, Supermassive studio director and producer Dan McDonald said that in addition to movies like The Witch and The Crucible, Silent Hill was a major source of inspiration. Little Hope is a town reminiscent of Silent Hill, enshrouded in a fog that acts as a barrier and filled with grotesque enemies that are conjured from the main character's mind. A bus accident marking your arrival at Little Hope is another key parallel, and the added twist here is the town's history with the witchcraft trials, which haunts the present-day characters. We're cheating a little bit with this one. We're talking about the whole series. The Evil Within is a survival horror series that offers a blend of Resident Evil and Silent Hill, yet still finds a way out of both predecessors' shadows with its unique premise and lore. The first game was actually directed by Shinji Mikami, the designer behind Capcom's Resident Evil and Dino Crisis, while the second game's setting of Union is directly influenced by the flow of environmental exploration present in the Silent Hill games. The first game features enemies and scenes straight from Silent Hill 2 and Silent Hill Downpour. When Sebastian wakes up in a fiery ambulance crash, it mirrors the opening levels of Downpour's prison transport crash in the foggy woods leading up to Silent Hill. The giant boss, known as the Keeper, with a metal safe on his head, is sometimes referred to as Boxhead, and is definitely the Evil Within's version of Pyramid Head. Bloober Team is a studio that can rival Supermassive and Capcom for being the masters of horror in modern gaming, even trusted with the keys to the Silent Hill series with the remake of the second game coming up. Konami's faith stems from The Medium, an innovative game that is Silent Hill in all but name, and with music co-composed by Silent Hill veteran Akira Yamaoka. This game utilizes a dual split-screen reality mechanic not seen before in horror games, allowing the player to become a version of a character that exists in the altered spirit spirit world and the real world at the same time. Bloober fuses incredible direction, camera work, and narrative involving trauma and dark psychological horror, and environmental design that is a love letter to Silent Hill. It's no wonder really they were given keys to the remake. Here at The Gamer, our 5-star review of Alan Wake 2 hailed it as being one of the best survival horror titles since Silent Hill 2. A further testament to that is the creatives at Remedy using Silent Hill specifically as a key point of reference when it came to establishing the game's atmosphere and unique enemy variety, with the dual realities of the Dark Place and Bright Falls delivering the core essence of Silent Hill. The changes to the environment seen in the world of Silent Hill go the extra mile here and turn into a video game mechanic, where Alan Wake can change the area design at will by switching out of scenes on a plot board. The story is also packed with twists just as mind-bending, if not more, and it's a haunting husband and wife story just like Silent Hill 2. That's our list. Make sure you check out thegamer.com for more lists like these.